Beloved and respected blessed families throughout the world, I pray that the love of our Heavenly Parent and the grace of true parents may always abide with your loved one and in all aspects of your lives. Today, I greet you from Albania in Europe. Dear members, over many years, we have announced many visionary plans in anticipation of the firm settlement of Cheonilguk. Today, I would like to speak with you about the most fundamental vision of all, the very root and point of origin from which every other vision springs. The vision of Cheonilguk, which we have long dreamed of, proclaimed it, and struggled to realize, has never been something distant or abstract. Our Heavenly Parent's grand dream to realize heaven's will upon this earth began at the very moment of creation when the universe came into being and Adam and Eve were established in Heavenly Parent's image. Our Heavenly Parents had a passionate vision, at the heart of which was the ideal of true sons and daughters who perfectly embody heaven's love. This would have been the family of Adam and Eve. Although the force of Adam and Eve means that human history has been a sorrowful course of indemnity over thousands of years. The vision of our Heavenly Parents has never faltered. Even the true family that God sought to establish through Jesus and the Holy Spirit could not be fully realized at that time, and thus this providence has to wait another 2,000 years. Finally, for the first time in 6,000 years, Sun Myung Moon and Hak Ja Han established a true family, fulfilling the mission of restored Adam and Eve. They appear on this earth as a true parent, as heaven's victorious champions. When we understand that Heavenly Parent's vision has unfolded through true parents' providence from Adam and Eve to Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and ultimately to the true parents, Sun Myung Moon and Hak Ja Han, it becomes clear that our ultimate goal is the realization of true blessed families. Therefore, the greatest fruit established on this earth, through the countless hardship and tribulation true parents have endured, is none other than the blessed family self. Even the vast providence of national and world restoration is ultimately fulfilled through blessed families. The original idea of our Heavenly Parents, one family of humankind under God, begins with the expansion and settlement of blessed families, centering upon exemplary man and woman. Then how, in this era of the firm settlement of Cheonilguk, are we to expand and establish blessed families? True Parents has spoken to us about the remarkable paradigm shift. We must not be flowers grown in the greenhouse. We must become pioneers who, like wild grass growing in the meadow amid wind and rain, can rise again on our own, no matter what trials may come. True Parents emphasized the resilient vitality of a wild grass that takes root even in barren field. Just like the broad leaf plantain that is trampled by others and crushed beneath its wheels, yet rise again the next day, with its leaves spread wide. We need a faith that the more it is trampled down, sinks its root even deeper and extends further. Yet, we must go one step further. Even wild grasses ultimately cultivate barren ground. Through becoming living entities themselves, they transform a desolate wilderness into an area teeming with life. Herein lies the providential secret of creating the environment that blessed family must inherit. In the past, we placed great emphasis on witnessing and numeric growth, concentrating on the planting of seed like a new generation and new snapling as new members. Yet no matter how excellent the seed or snapling may be, it cannot properly take root in a barren desert-like environment. This is the harsh reality we face today on the front line of witnessing. The path we must now walk in this era of the firm establishment of Cheonilguk does not end with simply planting seed and snaplings. Once the living entity takes root and the forest begins to grow, we must then nurture and sustain the environment for that forest. When a forest thrives, the trees share their lives with one another and then flourish naturally themselves. Upon this rush foundation of life, that forest expands broadly and deeply. The expansion of the Cheonilguk community of faith is not achieved through disorderly numerical growth, but through a process of growth and knobs, the knots that divide the bamboo stem into segments. True parents illustrated this point. Through the metaphor of bamboo, they must prevail over each obstacle one by one. As a growing bamboo tree forms each knot one by one, if they cannot do this, they will fall down. The reason bamboo can withstand fierce wind and grow straight to a height of dozens of meters is because at every stage of growth, it forms a strong knot or knob. Without this joint, bamboo stems would snap instantly in a violent storm. Looking back, the many proclamations your father made throughout his life were not merely events, but providential acts that established sacred historical knots so that their providence would not break while weathering the storms of history. At the completion of each providential stage, your father sealed it through a proclamation ceremony, thereby creating a firm providential knot upon which the next stage could unfold. Yet, the present time of the firm settlement of Cheonilguk has moved beyond the age of proclamation into the age of substantial realization. The place where your father painstakingly drew the roadmap of Cheonilguk was nothing more than a barren wilderness. The responsibility of cultivating that desolate wilderness and transforming it into fertile soil overflowing with life, therefore belongs entirely to us who are alive today. This is the mission and responsibility entrusted to our generation. Upon the fertile ground we cultivate with our devoted effort, the seed and sapling of a new generation will grow into the lush forest of Cheonilguk. And in this age of substantial realization, the most deceive not that our blessed family should establish is the continuity of generations within the blessed family itself. The faith and growth of the first generation become firmly established only through the knot of the second generation. In turn, the growth of the second generation continues through the knot of the third generation, extending on to the fourth, fifth, and the sixth generation in the future. If the first generation is unable to create the knot of faith and heart with the second generation, then the life of faith and spiritual growth that the first generation devoted its entire life to building will end there. Jesus long ago conveyed to us much heavenly wisdom by likening us to farmers and seed. We who live today must become the wise farmers of Cheonilguk. A wise farmer never blames the seed or tree. When tree in an orchard fail to grow properly or suffer from disease and pest, it is not the fault of trees. Likewise, when a seed falls to the ground but fails to sprout, it is not the fault of the seed. To care for the tree and enrich the soil so that they may blossom, bear fruit, and reproduce on their own, and to prepare the environment where seed can safely take root in the earth, these responsibilities belong entirely to the farmer. We must never forget that the honest vision heaven sought to realize on this earth began with the family, and that this providential will has been handed down through Adam and Eve, through Jesus, and through parents, finally reach our blessed family in the present time. Therefore, let us make our families and church communities into fertile soil where children and new members can breathe, grow, and flourish. Cultivating the environment well is the responsibility of the wise farmer. The World Mission Headquarters wishes to continue to working together with you as we cultivate the abundant and flourishing forest of Cheonilguk, where the original vision of our Heavenly Parents is fully realized. Thank you for the listening. God bless you.